I did actually give him a little bit of advice. Can you remember what I said, Mason?
Said stop moving your body.
Ah, said stop missing.
Yeah.
Wire 75.
No,
Stephen, you require... Yes, game shot. And the first.
The board hangs on the wall, perfectly lit, waiting for the throw that could change everything. For most young players, that board represents opportunity, a path to glory that starts from zero. But for a handful of competitors, every dart they release carries the weight of a name that's already written in darts history. And the question isn't whether they can make it, but whether they can escape the shadow of the player who came before them. Walk into any county darts venue across Britain and you'll spot them immediately. Young men carrying surnames that echo through decades of championship battles and world championship drama. Mason Whitlock steps up to throw, and the whispers start before his first dart leaves his hand because everyone in the room knows his father Simon reached 2 world championship finals and climbed to world number 2. These young men grew up breathing the sport, watching their fathers compete on television stages while other kids watched from living room sofas. Yet that privilege has become the very thing that makes their own journey impossible to complete. The evidence spans 4 decades of professional darts, and the pattern it reveals should terrify anyone born with a champion surname. 13 documented cases exist of sons or grandsons attempting to follow legendary fathers into professional competition. Their careers tracked through county leagues and development tour events and occasional world championship qualifiers. The success rate tells the entire story in a single number that should be impossible but isn't. 0% of these legacy players have matched their father's achievements. 0% have won major titles. 0% have even secured consistent positions on the main PDC tour. Every single second generation player who stepped up to compete carrying a champion's name has failed, their careers ending in county venues or development tour obscurity while their father's trophies gather dust in family homes. Simon Whitlock spent years terrorizing opponents with 95+ averages and walk-on songs that shook arenas. His nickname, The Wizard, earned through magical performances that brought Australian darts into the global spotlight. 2 World Championship finals tell the story of his peak. The 2008 BDO final, where Mark Webster denied him the title, followed by the 2010 PDC final, where Phil Taylor crushed his dreams 7-3 at Alexandra Palace. Mason inherited the surname and the coaching, the practice routines and the family knowledge of what it takes to compete at the highest level. Born in 2003, Mason stands now at 22 years old. His development tour journey beginning in 2020 and continuing through 6 full seasons of grinding without breakthrough. September 26, 2024 brought a moment that should have changed everything. Mason stepping up at the Moda Super Series and throwing a perfect 9-darter against David Warzowski, 180, 180, then 141 to complete the leg. That magic struck again on May 9th, 2025 during Development Tour 12 in Hildesheim. Mason producing another perfect leg against Ronan McDonough. 2 maximum scores followed by the checkout that should signal arrival among the elite. The match ended 4-3 in McDonough's favour, despite Mason averaging nearly 10 points higher. The 9-darter becoming just another highlight in the career still stuck on the development tour after more than 5 years of attempts. Mason told TalkSport in early 2025 that achieving a third of what his father accomplished would make him happy with himself. His goal simply to win a development tour event, win a Modus title, and secure a tour card for the following season. 6 years in and those modest ambitions remain unfulfilled. 2 9-darters on his resume, doing nothing to close the gap between development tour averages in the 85 to 90 range and the 95+ scoring his father produced during World Championship runs. The pattern repeats itself across every generation of professional darts. Dennis Priestley won 2 world championships in 1991 and 1994. His nickname, the Menace, reflecting the fear he struck into opponents throughout the golden era of British darts. Kevin Priestley grew up watching all of it, absorbed every lesson his father could teach about throwing technique and mental preparation and what separates champions from journeymen. County-level darts became Kevin's ceiling, his competitive career never progressing beyond amateur tournaments where prize money comes in tens of pounds rather than thousands. Eric Bristow defined darts in the 1980s with 5 world championship titles, establishing him as the crafty Cockney and one of the sport's genuine legends. Matthew Bristow, his grandson, made attempts at youth and amateur level competition before the trail goes cold. Public records showing no sustained professional career and no breakthrough moment that would justify the Bristow surname on tournament entry lists. Bobby George never won a world title, but he reached the finals twice in 1980 and 1994. His gold chains and rings and theatrical entrances making him one of dart's great entertainers. Richie George, born in 1977, represents the most successful second-generation player in professional darts history, and understanding what that success looks like reveals everything about the curse of legendary surnames. Richie qualified for the BDO World Championship at Lakeside in the 2000s, making him the only son of a major champion to reach a televised World Championship stage. Early round exits followed, his career peaking at county champion for Essex before fading into exhibition work and darts promotion. His father reached World Championship finals and spent decades competing in major tournaments, earning legendary status through personality as much as skill. Richie's best achievement was qualifying for a tournament where he immediately lost, and that makes him the success story among second-generation players because everyone else did worse. Rod Harrington won the World Masters twice and reached the World Championship semi-finals, earning his nickname Prince of Style through decades of elite competition. Ryan Harrington had access to world-class coaching from birth, his father's expertise available for every practice session and tactical discussion. County-level competition became Ryan's reality, public records showing minimal progression beyond regional tournaments before the trail disappears entirely. Phil Taylor dominated the sport for 3 decades, 16 world championships, establishing him as the undisputed greatest player to ever step up to the oche. His children attempted professional careers that barely registered in tournament results before they walked away entirely, their names occasionally appearing in minor events before vanishing from competitive darts. The greatest player in history couldn't transfer even a fraction of his ability to the next generation, proving that if Phil Taylor's children couldn't succeed with every possible advantage, then perhaps the task itself is impossible. Toby Bunting transformed himself from BDO World Champion in 2014 to PDC Masters winner in 2024. His tournament average at age 39 hovering around 98 and making him one of the most dangerous competitors in the world darts. Tobias Bunting, his son known as Toby, was born in 2012 and stands now at 13 years old, far too young for any assessment of professional potential, but already living the second-generation experience in ways that reveal how early the burden begins. Toby appears regularly at tournaments, cheering his father from the crowd, his presence during Stephen's matches captured by television cameras and becoming part of the Bunting family's public persona. Stephen features Toby prominently in his social media content, father and son throwing darts together in videos posted to Stephen's growing YouTube channel and TikTok account, their matches and practice sessions showing a 13-year-old who loves the sport while carrying a surname that brings both opportunity and crushing expectation. That burden materialized in late December 2025 and early January 2026 when Toby faced online abuse following his father's third-round exit from the World Championship, trolls targeting a 13-year-old child because his father lost a darts match. Stephen wrote on social media that Toby is one of the nicest kids you could wish to meet, defending his son against harassment that arrived years before Toby might even decide whether professional darts interests him. The social media videos that made Toby part of Stephen's popular online presence became ammunition for online trolls who couldn't separate a child from his father's performance on the oche, proving that the legacy player burden doesn't wait for career decisions or competitive debuts. It arrives in childhood and never relents. Gary Anderson won back-to-back world championships in 2015 and 2016. Following those triumphs with world match play titles and a career total climbing past 30 major titles. Ty Anderson's choices remain private, his father's decision to keep family matters away from public scrutiny extending to whether his son throws darts competitively at all. That privacy might be protecting Ty from the exact fate that destroyed Kevin Priestley's dreams and limited Richie George's career to early round world championship exits. The weight of a legendary surname crushing potential before it can develop into actual achievement.
Speak about Ty, he's taken up darts and he says he's doing quite well. Do you think as he goes through the ranks and let's say that you want to play him on that stage?
Oh, it'd be great. I mean, we kind of worked out, I think you will be, 16 to stand on that stage? So you've got about four and a bit years to get up there. But it would be nice to play in the same tournament as your son. There's been a few, I think there's been a couple, is there? Has there not been a couple of father and sons up there?
I think there has.
The list continues through journeyman professionals whose sons fared no better. Aaron Monk's father Colin competed professionally throughout the 90s and 2000s. Yet Aaron peaked at county level and shows minimal activity after 2020. Martin Smith's father Dennis competed in early world championships, but Martin's brief appearances in PDC qualifying events around 2015 and 2016 represent the entirety of his documented professional career. James Richardson follows his father Joshua through development tour and challenge tour events, both of them grinding through the same circuits without breakthrough moments, proving that even modest professional achievement refuses to transfer from father to son. The explanations people offer for this comprehensive failure never quite satisfy, never fully account for why 13 documented cases have produced 0 successes. Genetics should matter, access to elite coaching from birth should create advantages that compound over years of development. Growing up in households where professional darts defines family life should immerse these young players in tactical knowledge and mental preparation techniques that take ordinary competitors years to discover. The sons of champions practice on world-class equipment, travel to tournaments from childhood, watch their fathers handle pressure on television stages, and learn what championship-level mental fortitude actually looks like. Every possible advantage exists except the one that matters most. The psychological strength to step onto the oche carrying a legendary surname and throw darts while everyone watches and compares and judges every missed double against the champion who came before. County level competition represents solid achievement for ordinary players climbing through Britain's darts infrastructure, regional championships and league titles marking genuine success for amateur competitors. Kevin Priestley reached county level, as did Ryan Harrington and Richie George and Aaron Monk, 4 sons of major champions whose careers peaked at a level that their fathers passed through on their way to world championships and World Masters titles and decades of professional tournament appearances. The gap between their achievements and their fathers' careers represents entirely different worlds. Amateur competition versus elite professional stages, regional recognition versus international fame, prize money in double digits versus 6-figure tournament earnings. Tennis provides the obvious counterexample that makes darts' pattern even more striking. Steffi Graf's father coaching her to 22 Grand Slam titles until she arguably became the greatest female player in tennis history. Football has produced dynasties where sons carved professional careers, boxing has seen second-generation champions, motorsports has witnessed sons matching fathers' achievements, even golf has delivered legacy players who built their own major championship credentials. Darts stands alone among major competitive sports in its absolute resistance to second-generation success. Not a single case existing where a champion son reached even 10% of their father's achievement when that father competed at elite level. The mental game provides the most compelling explanation for this unique pattern, darts demanding a combination of physical precision and psychological warfare that can't be inherited through bloodlines or family dinner conversations. Throwing technique can be taught, practice routines can be replicated, tactical knowledge about double strategy and scoring patterns can be passed down through coaching sessions in home practice rooms. The mental steel required to stand on the World Championship stage with television cameras broadcasting every movement to millions of viewers, the psychological fortitude necessary to convert crucial finishes while opponents stare you down from across the oki, the emotional control that prevents doubt from creeping into your throw when everything depends on the next dart. None of that transfers through genetics or famous surnames. These young men face something that ordinary competitors never experience: constant comparison beginning before their first competitive dart and continuing throughout their entire career, regardless of what they achieve. When Mason Whitlock wins a development tour event, the narrative immediately becomes whether he can finally live up to his father's legacy, whether this represents the beginning of a breakthrough or just another false start in a journey that's already lasted more than half a decade. Mason throws 9 darters in September 2024 and May 2025, achieving perfection twice in 9 months. Yet those magical moments change nothing about his development tour status or his distance from the main tour. The mathematics of expectation work differently for legacy players. Their achievements measured not against their own starting point, but against the peaks reached by champions who happened to raise them, perfect legs dismissed as footnotes when their fathers also threw 9 darters years earlier. Richie George's qualification for the BDO World Championship represents the single greatest achievement by any second-generation player in professional darts history, and that achievement resulted in early round exits that proved he belonged nowhere near the World Championship finals his father reached twice. Bobby George spent decades as one of darts' defining entertainment figures, his showmanship and skill combination creating mainstream recognition that transcended the sport itself. Richie's early exits at Lakeside became the family's second-generation story, the most successful outcome among all sons of champions, still representing comprehensive failure compared to what their fathers accomplished. January 2026 marks the current status of this 40-year pattern, 13 documented cases of second-generation attempts producing 0 breakthrough stars and 0 players who match their father's achievements. Mason Whitlock continues grinding through development tour events after 6 years without significant progress, his 2 9-darters representing moments of brilliance that haven't translated into the consistency required for tour card qualification. Toby Bunting exists in childhood at 13 years old, already experiencing online abuse because of his father's tournament results, the burden beginning before he's even old enough to decide whether professional darts interests him. Ty Anderson's status remains private, his father's decision to protect family matters possibly shielding him from the fate that destroyed Kevin Priestley's dreams and limited Richie George's achievements to early round World Championship exits. The evidence assembled across 4 decades tells a story that should be impossible but isn't. This absolute resistance of darts greatness to transfer from one generation to the next. Dennis Priestley's 2 world championships produced a son who peaked at county level. Eric Bristow's 5 world titles created a legacy that his grandson couldn't approach even at amateur level. Bobby George's 2 world championship finals and legendary entertainment career resulted in a son whose greatest achievement was qualifying for a tournament where he immediately lost. Phil Taylor's 16 world championships, the greatest achievement in darts history, couldn't inspire his children to sustain professional careers at any level. The pattern holds across every possible variable, regardless of which decade the sons competed in, regardless of whether their fathers won world titles or just competed professionally, regardless of how much access to coaching and equipment and tournament experience they received from birth. World champion sons failed, major champion sons failed, journeyman professional sons failed, the success rate remaining locked at 0% across every documented case of second-generation attempts. County level competition became the ceiling for the most successful among them. Development tour grinding became the reality for those still trying. Complete abandonment of professional darts became the choice for those who recognized the impossibility of the task. The question that hangs over every young player born with a champion surname remains unanswered. This mystery of whether greatness can truly be inherited in a sport that tests psychological strength as ruthlessly as it tests throwing accuracy. Mason Whitlock still has theoretical time to prove the pattern can be broken. Professional darts careers peaking late enough that 6 years on development tours might represent development rather than failure. 2 9-darters suggesting technical ability that needs only consistency to break through. Toby Bunting sits in childhood, years away from any career decisions, but already learning what the Bunting surname costs when online trolls target a 13-year-old because his father lost a darts match. But until that breakthrough moment arrives, until one of these legacy players steps onto the World Championship stage and delivers performances that make their own name legendary rather than borrowed, the evidence points to a truth that 40 years of darts history has demonstrated with absolute consistency across 13 documented cases and 0 exceptions. Talent might run in families. Access and coaching might provide advantages that ordinary players never receive. But the championship level combination of skill and mental fortitude that defines greatness in darts dies with the generation that earned it. The Suns carry famous names into competition without the magic that made those names famous in the first place. Their careers ending in county venues and development tour obscurity, while their fathers' legacies remain untouchable, separated by a psychological gap that genetics and coaching and family knowledge and even perfect 9-dart finishes cannot bridge. 0% success rate across 40 years and 13 documented cases. That's the inheritance waiting for anyone born with a darts champion surname. The burden of greatness that cannot be escaped and cannot be matched and ultimately cannot be survived.